Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, all these photos that you're going to look at right here, and I have a whole other wave of them to go through, but this bunch right here is all from basically one source, and it's our family members that we visited with yesterday down in the Hayesville, Murphy area, and totally believe these are all legit, and the person that took these is definitely very intuitive and very spiritual. And perhaps this is what my gut's saying, is that that's part of the reason why she's able to get these, is because of who she is. So these are some interesting photos, and I'm going to kind of play with them pretty much for the first time, really, as I go with you guys. So you can see here, there's something in the sky here. And so when we start zooming in, it definitely looks like it's an object. So, you know, is it a ship? Is it a drone? Is it something interdimensional? You know, your guess is as good as mine, and I'd love to get your guys' take on it. Definitely, I definitely don't think this is any sort of just a reflection. It's some sort of object for sure, but what? You know, that's the question. And so when we look at it again, let's zoom out a little bit. So definitely some sort of object, and you can see it's daylight out there. And the light's kind of reflecting off of it, or it has its own light going as well. So interesting. You know, I want to hear your comments on all these, of course, and thank you guys for sharing your photos. And as I said, I have a whole other bunch to go through that I have not looked at yet. Let's start over here. So now this one just hit me right off the bat. What do you guys see here? You see what sticks out? And I think, was it Mr. MBB that saw, had a photo of something almost exactly like this that was just incredible? Now there's more than one thing going on here. Obviously, we could see this. This is like a perfect triangular shape here. So, you know, we could wonder, you know, is that some sort of chemtrail? Or is it maybe some sort of cloaked ship? And I do think, as I've said before, the triangular ships are boarded by humans. You know, either part of the secret space program or something along those lines. And I've seen one, as I've shared with you guys before, very close, you know, only about maybe 200, 300 feet over my head. And I watched it for a good 15 minutes, maybe longer. And it just slowly drifted overhead, just floating, making no sound. So it really makes me wonder, is that some sort of cloaked ship that we're seeing up there? Or is it just part of the chemtrails? Just a perfect angle, a perfect... I don't know, you know, but it's super curious. I don't know if we play with the colors, if we'll get anything to happen here. Now the one I saw, it didn't look like it was a perfect enclosed triangle. I kind of got the impression it was more like a flying V. and it was twilight when I saw it. And if we look, there's also like a dark object over here, which I'm not sure what this is really either. And I don't believe this was, well, it could be taken from behind a windshield. So then you wonder if that's just a smudge or something. But the thing is that you'll see in other videos, there's a lot of these tiny dark objects that are floating in a lot of these other shots. So it kind of makes me wonder, this looks like it's windshield streak right there, so that's probably just windshield, but that is not windshield. Very, very unusual for sure. And jumping over here is another picture basically of that same thing. This triangle in the sky. Just chemtrails, perhaps. Also looks kind of like there's an outline of something back there too. Yeah, perhaps it's just chemtrails in a little V for whatever. V for victory over humanity, who knows. But it's kind of curious. And so here there's these dark objects, which again, I was wondering if they could possibly be something on the windshield. But you're going to see in some other photos too where she's definitely not in the car, that there's strange dark objects up in the sky. And then we see kind of a rainbow in the background here. And a completely distorted sun, of course, loaded with chemtrails, some flares. I'm not sure if that's an actual solid object over there. But these are kind of interesting. I can see, you know, lens flare, but then look at how distorted the sun is too. Lots of people do believe in a sun simulator now. And just the thing for you guys to ponder, if there is a sun simulator and the sun is pretty much toast, right? Or it's getting so dim like that, then the whole prophecy of 3 days of darkness, you know, being caused by God, quote unquote, well, you know, whoever's in charge of the sun simulator, all they gotta do is shut it off and there's your darkness, right? So that's pretty, that pretty much takes care of that. And perhaps that's happened in the past as well. But look at how distorted the sun looks. And of course, again, we've brought it up, you know, that question, is it just the chemtrails or is there really something going on? And look at how much they try to cover it. And this area is pretty damn remote. You know, there's not a lot of people in the towns here. You know, I think there's maybe 300 people in Hayesville and Murphy. I'm not sure if Murphy has 1,000. You know, they're not huge populations, but it's not like it's Atlanta or something where you're trying to block out Atlanta. Because you don't want, you know, all the millions of people to see what's going on there. So this is that photo of that interesting object up in the sky again, another one of those. And again, is it a drone? Is it, you know, some sort of secret ship? Is it ET ship? That's definitely up for debate. And here we could see it again, or something like that. Let's see if this is the same one. There's some different shapes we're seeing. Now this is the one that reminds me of Angie Brower Power sent in a video, if you guys remember, and it looked like there was afterburners on spaceships, and this is what that reminds me of. This looks just like what Angie had sent in, and it makes me just think of an afterburner on a spaceship, like we're watching a Star Wars, program. And, oops, there goes Rey off in her spaceship. It just hits me like two afterburners. Now, could it be, military? Oh, yeah, for sure. And the locals do get flyovers by military. Planes is something that's fairly regular, so it could be that. And the thing that's really interesting too is discovered that there's a lot of dumbs in these areas, and you can see there's probably another one right here, and this is either one or two, it's hard to say. There's a lot of deep underground military bases in these areas as well, because they are quote-unquote your safe zones, or some of your safe zones. And so, there's always a lot of retired military personnel around these areas. And you get a lot of weird things, and you also get the Bigfoot sightings, just like in so many areas, like up in Northern California, like around Shasta. And, out in New Mexico, Colorado, you still get some of those as well. So, is Bigfoot an ET? Is Bigfoot an interdimensional? Well, all the locals know about it. They've been telling me about it left and right, and saying you leave out apples for Bigfoot boojum. Boojum in this area, in this county, is what the locals call it. And so you see a distorted sun. That looks like a really good case for a sun simulator. And the flare down below. And so our friend that we spent some time with there yesterday, she had a sighting as well of Bigfoot. And he was tall, covered in dark hair, and had long dreadlocks, which it would make sense because your hair gets matted, if you don't go ahead and brush it. And when she was watching, and he wasn't far away, he was really close to her house, he was on her property, it just kind of faded away and went into a different dimension. And it's the way she described it is the exact same thing I saw with that tall gray ET. Exactly, so it's interesting, these interdimensionals. And perhaps so much of what we see is really interdimensional. And here's another one of that. What to me hits me as afterburners, and maybe I'm totally biased on this one or wrong, or I don't know. I mean, you could also see it as two eyes looking at you, and I feel like there's another one there and another one there. And look at, this one. This almost looks like the sun's a heart here. So distorted, so wild. So again, 3 days of darkness. Well, if they turn off the sun simulator, that's what we got, right? And they could turn it on and off at will if they made it, right? So it explains a lot of things, you know? Make us question a lot of things as well. Or is it just multiple objects around the sun? That really looks pretty hexagonal, doesn't it? But then again, if you did have something, you know, another source of light right here, would kind of explain it. Pretty interesting stuff. And now we go into some other weird stuff. Now this is starting to remind me of what Fifth World had seen and some others as well. What is this? It almost looks like a flying insect or something. See, there it is. So this is a broad daylight in the backyard. And so you see we're at the fullest zoom. Where did it go? I'm going hunting for this little guy. There he is. Cute little guy. A drone? Almost looks like it's got a little head here and almost like an insect's body. It's so bizarre. So that's a really weird one. I mean, what are we seeing? Are we seeing interdimensional beings? Are we seeing different sorts of ETs flying around in their spacesuits? I don't know, guys. It's definitely something interesting. And here we have kind of that two-segmented thing going. And we've seen some of these as well. And look at these chemtrail clouds. They look like feathers. They're crazy. And then we have the sun up there. Very weird and wild. And then over here's the little thing. Let's see, I'm back at the, there it is. So definitely some oddities. Here's another one. Again, let's see if we go out a little bit. So you can see it's right where all the chemtrails are. Massive chemtrails. Again, I don't know what that is. And here's some objects over here by some massive chemtrails as well. You know, secret military drones. It's all curious. And then this one, there's all sorts of small little dark objects that we really can't get a good look on. What they are, don't know. And at first I didn't notice them. So here you can see some up in the sky. 1, 2 there. Another one up there. Another one here. Another one there. One flying right there. And I've told you about our mystery guest that always jumps on the porch and there's nothing ever there. It just did it right now. Don't know if you guys could hear that. But that happens about 20 times a day at least. This is a very unusual area that we're in. So much like what we would call paranormal activity here. So like, what is that? Interesting. Very interesting. So I wanted to share those with you guys and get your opinion on them. And there's a whole bunch more that we're going to be doing as more and more of these photos come in with, you know, most definitely interesting, unusual objects in them, as well as our lovely chemtrailed skies and our dear beloved sun simulator. Interesting times we live in, my friends. Very, very interesting. As always, please do keep sending your photos and send your observations. Give us your comments, your stories. Let us know what you're experiencing out there. Many believe the veil is thinning between the worlds, and I do kind of feel that's true. As somebody that's meditated for, you know, over 25, 30 years, yeah, you could definitely tell that there's a huge change in the energy. And you could just sense other beings around you. And many people can see them. You'll see shadows and outlines. You'll see forms. You know, you'll catch movement out of the corner of your eye. And you could just feel them energetically. Yesterday in our friend's house, you know, she had energies there. You know, when we started talking about them, I could feel them like coming right up to me. And, you know, just making contact with me, and they were ice cold, you know, and she felt it as well. We were just looking at each other like, you're feeling that, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could definitely feel them. There's all sorts of different entities around us all the time. It's just a fact. There's so many different dimensions. So these are all beings on different dimensions, and it feels like our reality is shifting. Either our ability to perceive other dimensions is increasing, which I think is part of it, and or we're actually rising up as well into a new dimension. The planet is as well. And I think that's part of it too, personally. That is what I'm feeling as being the truth. So as always, guys, share whatever you have, and we'll share with each other. We'll learn together. So please do thumbs up to support the channel, and subscribe. Click the bell so you get all the notifications, and share the videos with as many as possible. May you guys always be blessed in these most interesting times with abundant peace, love, happiness, health, and well-being. God bless, my friends, and namaste.